The document was a word list entitled Some Lewis Moorland Terms, a Pete Glossary. And together with his friends Anne Campbell, Katrina Campbell and Donald Morrison, Finlay explained he'd been carrying out a survey of the language used in 3 Lewisian townships, Shawbost, Braga and Shadder, to denote aspects of the moor. The Pete Glossary ran to several pages and more than 120 terms, and as that modest sum in its title acknowledged, it was incomplete. There's so much more to be added to it, Anne told me later. It represents only 3 villages' worth of words. I have a friend from South Uist who said her grandmother would add dozens to it. Every village in the Upper Islands would have its different phrases to contribute. I sat and read the glossary that evening by the fire in Finlay's house, fascinated and moved. Many of the terms it contains are notable for their compressive precision. Bua is a green bow-shaped area of moorgrass or moss, formed by the winding of a stream. Rionach Moim means the shadows cast on the moorland by clouds moving across the sky on a bright and windy day. Etch refers to the practice of placing quartz stones in moorland streams so that they would sparkle in moonlight and thereby attract salmon to them in the late summer and autumn. That's a lot to pack down into 3 letters.
You say in the first few pages that it's a book about the power of language to shape our sense of place, and that seems like a perfect example. It struck me that it's about the power of language to do much more than that as well. Actually to stop the desecration of a landscape, or to allow individuals to express themselves in a way that they wouldn't otherwise do, in the case of Nan Shepherd, for example, or J.A. Baker. Would you agree with that? Do you think the power of language is more than that?
Well, yes, in its finest forms. I mean, language is everything. It's the medium we swim in, and it can be turned to any use that you want. The uses of enchantment or the uses of desecration, depending on the intent. But I did become fascinated by the possibilities of expressions of intimacy, care, love, good relations with places that might seem, at first glance, hard to come to know, hard to represent, lacking a language with which to describe them. And so, when places go undescribed, they typically become much harder to protect, particularly in the context of cost-benefits analysis and use-value frameworks with which we typically approach and evaluate pretty much everything.